So the shift for me happened not with Never Have I Ever so much, although that was huge, but it happened for me on a show called The Night Of, which was, again, one of the TV's first South Asian families ever to be portrayed. But before that, I was in America. I was getting just very stereotypical roles, like the doctor, the nurse, the ITs, the wife of the terrorist. You know, that was a whole new category that got added in after 9/11. None of these roles represented who I was or where I came from or my history or where I was going. And so I really do believe that I would have probably stopped being an actor if those were the only roles still available. Luckily, things have shifted, things have opened up, and we are now being able to tell not only our stories, but we are inside telling stories that matter and are received in a very particular way. I was always the side character. Oh my God, the amount of like best friend of color roles I'd go in for. And my entire existence on screen was sometimes to listen to, you know, what the usually Caucasian lead has to say and like problem solve with her and like, you know, figure out once again, she's got herself into a mess. How do I get her out? Like, who gives a shit, you know? No one cares. I used to turn down those roles as well. So I always say my career has been built on a bunch of no's versus a bunch of yeses. You know, at certain point, I was like, this is not giving anyone, it's not even paying the bills, so it's not giving me joy, I'm not doing anyone any good. So, you know, I had a whole career in advertising, which I always balanced with acting. So the times when the roles weren't there, I just, you know, did something else. Because a stereotype is a form of racism. You see only a sliver of that person's life, and you don't see the whole story. And that's an unfulfilling thing to see or play. This particular role had always been on my bucket list, partly because I'd seen so many immigrant, especially South Asian immigrant moms portrayed, and they were portrayed as so unidimensional, like the nagging mother who wants to get her perfect son married, and that's all she's concerned about. And you know, I'm an immigrant mom, my mom's an immigrant mom, and my aunts, everyone. And none of us felt reflected by what we saw. So to play this particular role of Nalini Vishwakumar, where you get so much past and history, you get so much joy and grief, you get so much longing, desire, femininity, sexuality, that's amazing. The crazy part is when we started, we were one of the first South Asian shows, and now 4 years in, there are many more. And what was extraordinary slowly has become a little more ordinary, and I think that's a trajectory everyone wants to go towards, that our existence here, our acceptance here is just an ordinary thing. That you walk into a room, you're not the only person in that of color or of South Asian descent in that room. I mean, of all people of color, you walk in onto a set, I'm always usually the only South Asian on set, you know? So how do we enter more and more spaces not being the only one? And so to walk into a room where there's much more representation and diversity and inclusion and those conversations are happening, that makes you feel more welcome, more like you belong, and more importantly, your voice is always amplified, and that makes a difference. My mom will say stuff like, you're not on the poster, does that mean you're still on the show? Why aren't you on the poster? Are you not important this season? Like, she'll just like couch it on terms like that all the time, which make you feel like and then you yourself are like, maybe I'm not important. That's every single season. What I learned from Never Have I Ever when it first came out is that what kids love from the show and what they love about the family dynamic is this feeling that they belonged. It just felt like there was a family that they could see themselves in. And this idea of belonging became very interesting, especially as the seasons went on. And as a parent, I really changed how I parented, and really I make giving my son a sense of belonging a priority, more than like going to college, getting a job, like those conversations have really dwindled. For me, it's like I'd much prefer him to take a gap year and like find a place that he loves and go travel and find a place in the world that he thinks he belongs, and just, you know, encourage him to doing stuff like that. He taught me a very intense lesson in 2015. My sense of humor is like my dad's, who's like his mom's. Like, it's a very inherited, sarcastic sense of humor. And I said something that was meant to be funny, but he was very hurt by it. And he said something to the effect that your sense of humor can be hurtful sometimes. And I really heard that. I really took it in, and my humor actually changed. Oh, I would love to do a Big Little Lies with a South Asian cast. Oh my God. Sarita Chowdhury, my best friend. Richa, another best friend of mine. I think Sari Blue is an unbelievable actress. I'd be totally in it. I'd love to play Nicole's role. That role is really one of the most powerful roles that has been ever portrayed. I was sitting next to her while she was doing this particular character, and my experience working with her transformed me as an actor. I have never seen someone so inside a character like Nicole was.
What would the name be if it was an Indian Big Little Lies?
Which means like sometimes things happen.